I want to first welcome everyone for joining this fabulous New York City Real Estate Expo. I'm DIANE RAMIREZ. I am Chief Strategy Officer for Berkshire Hathaway New York Properties. And I am honored to host three outstanding females in the residential real estate industry. And before I open it up to them to introduce themselves, I want to share a little bit about myself. I've been in this industry since the late 70s. Clark and I joined a firm and founded Halstead Property back in 1984. And we grew it to a wonderful 4-office company with 200 plus agents when we decided to sell it to Terra Holdings, which is our parent company, and they also owned Brown Harris Stevens. I took the leadership role at that time and grew the firm to about 1,400 agents and 30 plus offices in 3 states. And last year during COVID, Brown Harris Stevens and Halstead merged into the fabulous Brown Harris Stevens company. I decided it was time for something exciting. So recently I moved to Berkshire Hathaway New York Properties as a Chief Strategy Officer. And that's where I am at the moment, and continue to be passionate about this unbelievable industry. And with that, I'd like to have each of my panelists introduce themselves. And let's start with the renowned Barbara Fox.
Ooh, thank you. Thank you. I'm Barbara Fox. I'm president of Fox Residential Group. I've had my firm now for almost 32 years. I even beat DIANE and when I started in the industry, but I'm not going to give you the date. It dates me. But I've been doing this for a very long time. And my firm has remained a boutique and has been quite successful over the years, thank goodness. And we're back up and running again. So we're going to talk about that today and talk about today and yesterday and the future. Reba Miller, you're next.
Well, Barbara and I are very good friends, and we actually had a little partnership for a little while, but I've been in the business for 38 years. Ooh. And I think I've tried all parts of this business. I've had my own company, I've managed, I've worked for developers. Barbara and I were partners. And so now I'm at Berkshire Hathaway with DIANE for the last 4 years. And this has been super exciting and brand new for New York. And so it's been really a ride. And this past year, you're going to obviously we'll discuss what kind of ride we've had, but it's been truly amazing. So I'm very blessed to be on this panel with such esteemed colleagues. And now I'm going to turn it over to ITZY.
Well, thank you. Well, first of all, it's an honor to be on the panel with all of you. And I also had the honor of working with DIANE, who I miss tremendously. I have not been in the business as long as all of you. I've only been in it for 20 years, 2 decades, but it doesn't seem so long listening to all of you. But I am now at Brown Harris Stevens. I am an executive vice president here, senior managing director, overseeing our Brooklyn offices. We have 7 of them, and I oversee them all. And I was previously, I started out as an agent actually myself a long time ago. Seems like the time has gone by so fast, but yet it seems so long ago. And I've been managing offices in Manhattan and Brooklyn for most of my career here. And I'm excited about our conversation today. So.
And I am so honored that you all agreed to chat today, because there is just no one in this industry that I respect more than the 3 of you. And I think we're going to have lots of fun. And I hope the audience will feel that way at the end. I just want to let everyone know we will have a Q&A at the end of the session. So put your questions in and we'll try to answer all of them at the end of our conversation. And the title of the conversation was Looking Forward. So I think we've talked about the last 18 months until we're all blue in the face. And it's time to look forward. So that is what we're going to try to give you a perspective of ours looking forward into the great residential real estate industry and what's coming down the pike. And I'm going to start my first question with Reba. After seeing so many lows in the market, and especially during COVID, what do you think is, and we've had such incredible closing numbers, and do you think the market in general is going to sustain this, this great flurry of business that we've had in the last number of months? And especially if you could focus on that mid-market of $1 million to $3 million. What's your thoughts, Reba?
Well, my personal experience after having so many grays, which is equal to so many lows, I think this market has just been on fire, especially in, you know, the 500, 800 to $3 to $4 million range. It's been absolutely crazy. So anybody who's in this market, you should be experiencing this. And if you're not, you got to grab it as you can, because we haven't had this kind of craziness in a long time, that, you know, really a long time. And we're getting buyers from all different directions, all different ages, all different price points. But I would say the most active, and I continue to believe that it's going to remain this way, is this market up to that 3 million category or 3.5 million category. And the truth is, you can get so many things for 3 million, so many different things, from 7 and 8 rooms to a 2-bedroom, to a condo, to a co-op, but it's a price point that you really need to know. If you're coming in this market, you need to know this market because it is the most active. So I think it's here to stay.
And with the activity, do you feel there's still good value in these markets?
There's different things have different values, right? For different purposes. One could be an investment value. One could be a space value. One could be, you know, let me renovate it and have some equity in my renovation afterwards. So they're all different types of buyers and different kinds of value. You know, the one thing that I have seen, which I'm like wondering, is some of these maintenances have gotten extremely high. So all of a sudden those price points come down because of the maintenance is being so high. So the question is, what is the value in that kind of property when it's 2.5 or 2.2 because the maintenance is 6,000, so, or 7,000. So again, this price point covers a lot of different kinds of product. So the value comes from the good brokering and the good knowledge that you're bringing to the table to be able to talk your buyer through this.
I agree with Reba. I think this is going to continue. I think we're going to have another banner year in 2022. I think that you're going to see, we've had this enormous uptick. You know, you went from just nothing, you know, sitting home for 3 months when we were on lockdown and coming out of this pandemic to just like, I feel like gangbusters. And I think that going into 2022, it's going to continue. And there's other factors we have to consider. It's been so strong and we haven't had the foreign buyers. So Monday we opened up our borders. I mean, you see what's happening with that. I think you're going to get the foreign buyers back. The inflation, the numbers, it looks like inflation's going to go up. I mean, that's what they're saying. It's going to remain high for 2022. So I think it's also going to bring in investors. I think that real estate is going to be a good asset class for investors to jump in the market. So I think there's a lot of different things happening that will help us continue this.
I'm going to address pricing more than anything. From March until today, the prices have continued to skyrocket. I mean, they started very low after COVID and they have continued to rise. And a lot came on the market initially, and then a lot of the product was absorbed. Now I'm seeing again, and this is my own personal opinion, I'm seeing a lot more product coming on the market, particularly at this time of year, than we're used to seeing. And I think if that continues through the new year, it's going to cause prices to stabilize a bit, because prices only really go up when supply goes down. So as far as the prices are concerned, I think we're going to be in pretty good shape. I think they'll go up some, but I don't think they're going to go up remarkably over the next 6 months. But I think we're going to see a lot of products coming on after the first of the year. And I see the market really continuing to be strong with the new influx of foreigners coming back in the country and Americans.
And just to touch on something you said, Barbara, pricing, because I think we have to take a moment and not get ahead of ourselves either. Pricing is we still have price conscious buyers. Even though I'm seeing a lot of bidding wars here, you must price your property right. You can't overprice and think the market's so strong, it's going to sell, because that will not happen. And I don't know if you're seeing the same thing, Reba and Barbara. I think you still need to be very price conscious and price properly, you know.
Where do you think the prices are compared to maybe the height of our market in 15? Do you think they're at that level? Do you think they've gone above that?
I don't feel like we're there.
You know, I think one of the things that has moved and continues to move the market is the feeling of urgency, and I want to buy into it. And it's, you know, people sat on the sideline for so long. So I think, you know, that the big push of everybody sitting on the sideline is the initial reason that this market started to increase. And then what do you get when you have confidence? You get transactions. Confidence equals transactions. So if people are feeling confident, they're going to come here and continue to come here. They've always come here. And some people who took their risks a long time ago, those are the ones who, you know, are the biggest winners, because they took the biggest risks. So the question is this a risk now? Will people feel like they're overpaying? And the answer is no. You know, absolutely not. It's still going to go up, and there's still plenty of growth that we're going to see. And if you look at the last 30 years and you want to project the next 30 years, I mean, there's your answer.
I agree. I think we're not at 2015 yet.
Right. I agree with you, ITZY. I think there still is some good value in the marketplace. So and one thing I love is that once again, New York City showed its true grit, and everybody had us out and down and no one wanting to be here, and we're back. So it's all very good. And we've really kind of focused on the market under the 3.5 million, but the luxury market above 4 million has just been totally on fire. Donna Olshan has a wonderful report, and she has shown signed contracts week over week way above average. In fact, the week of October 18th to 24 had the highest number of total contracts signed in the over 4 million range since mid-December 2013. And the trophy properties, which were over 10 million, the same thing, highest number since 2013. What do you contribute this incredible increase in activity in the luxury market? And do you think that's sustainable?
This is a market that has, I mean, the product is flying off the shelves. I've never seen anything like it in my life. I think a lot of it has to do with the new condo product that's out there. There are such beautiful, new, luxurious buildings. And I'll tell you who's not buying and who hasn't been buying since March is the foreigners. So we're talking about Americans, Canadians, I don't know. That's who we're selling to. And it is, the condo market has brought a whole new emphasis to what it means, the ease of buying in New York. It's always been difficult to buy big, luxurious products in New York because of co-ops, and the complications and the requirements to buy a co-op have made it difficult. It's much easier now, particularly in the brand new condo buildings. So I attribute a lot of this to, number one, pent-up buying power that sort of collected over the year that we were in serious COVID mode. The fact that these beautiful condos are offering an alternative that makes it very convenient to buy.
I think talking about the condos and the high end, we know obviously Naftali just has knocked it out of the park with 2 buildings on the Upper East Side. And I think that those were very attractive. I don't know if we got lucky timing, the right product, but it's these boutique buildings, these luxury boutique buildings that came on at the, and he did the product right. And people were looking for these, the penthouse that was just sold, the 66 million, but they want the space, but they want this boutique feel, and they want the luxury, the high end Madison and 85th, and I think that that's been really successful. And then downtown, there's been a lot of success too. But I also think we forget, I know we're coming out of a pandemic, but some people have made an extraordinary amount of money during this time. So there's a lot, and the money's coming in. They believe in New York. So the product's there, the wealth is there. And I think that's been a big factor.
If you look at the stock market, I mean, I've always thought, if there's a strong stock market, you have a strong real estate market. And then you add the Bitcoins, that's a whole other topic to discuss. How do you value the Bitcoin, and the person who has $30-40 million in Bitcoins, how does a co-op or a condo view that? So but the luxury market, we're a luxury city. So if you want to live in New York, you're living in luxury, you're living in culture, you're living in traffic, you're living with a lot of bicycles, but all that feels luxury, right? So New York is the capital where people want to come, they want to watch Broadway. Thank God Broadway opened up. The restaurants, I was at Avra last night, you would never think we had a pandemic. The place was packed.
The restaurants are packed.
So that needs to stay.
Yeah.
For the luxury market to continue. So these two things, they run parallel.
You mentioned, the co-ops and the condos, and really what we're talking about now is the condo, which is by far outpacing the co-op luxury sales. But 70% of our product in Manhattan is still co-ops. So, and I see the variance in value for pricing for what you can get in a co-op versus a condo, it's becoming enormous. Do you think that's going to be the catalyst? And if not that, what to get the co-op market moving at the pace in that luxury marketplace that the condo market is doing right now? Barbara, can you start us out?
I asked Donna Oshan for some numbers, and in her latest report, condos over 4 million were outselling co-ops 4-1. Right. The interesting thing is that the housing stock in New York, condos represent 116,000 units. Co-ops represent 330,000 units. So the disparity between how many condos are against how many co-ops, it's startling that we're selling so many more condos than we are co-ops. And that I find really scary. But I think that it's going to be necessary to have some changes come about in the co-op world. And I've focused on co-op, the high-end co-op market, for a very long time. And I believe that the co-op boards are going to have to ease up. I know that there are a lot of them easing up. There's a lot more financing allowed now, where it may have not been allowed at all before, or there's additional financing allowed. There are different things that co-ops are doing, but I think that it has to become a less egregious procedure to really stay viable in our market.
But I think that, co-ops, I feel, always have saved our city. Whenever the city is in trouble, all of these co-ops, because there's at least a 25% equity spread, in some cases 50, in some cases 35. So even if the market drops, people aren't losing their value, where we have seen in the condo market, people borrowing 80%, 90%, and when the market drops, they've walked away from their property. They can't even cover, that cost with a good rent. So to me, there's some greater value to push the co-op to the buyer in the sense that, your neighbors are not going to go under to the same degree that potentially your condo deal could go under. I mean, we've seen a lot of, discussions how people have lost tons and tons and tons of money in these new developments. So they're going in today, can they hold it? And will they lose it in a year or two? And that's the question,
I see some loosening up. I know, Diane, there's a building that went from, I think, 50, it used to be 50% financing. Well, your building, what they changed. But that, the loosening up, but at the same time, we just had just a few weeks ago a deal in Brooklyn where the co-op wanted 5 years of maintenance. So, they might loosen up, but then I think there might be, well, we want more of this to have that comfort. I don't know, but I do see some loosening up, and then I see some of this happening too. So it's sort of, all over the board still. But I think if the co-ops can loosen up, maybe change some of the financing requirements, things like that can really make a big difference.
Right, I so agree. And I do think the co-ops will loosen up a little bit because they have to. This is,
Yeah,
it's such beautiful product. It's the most we have. And I see the boards being a little bit smarter. I think it's that the cash after purchase that they're loosening up a little bit. And that's maybe why they're asking for a certain number of months or years of maintenance so that they're able to at least have that cushion. So I think it's all
well,
good.
Also a lot of that co-op market, is unrenovated. It's not state of the art.
that's correct. Yeah.
It's, so how do you move that market right now, right? So that's the big question. If you could convince your seller to renovate, that's a home run today, for anybody. If your seller's not interested, then, I mean, I always like to get a contractor in place, some ideas in place, a decorator in place, and to make that process, well understood, that at the end, there's going to be greater equity for those that choose to buy unrenovated. So there is a lot of unrenovated, older co-ops that are luxury and will be more luxurious when they're done. So the question is, who are those buyers, and are they able to, come to the table and want to put their own signature into it?
Yeah,
and not move into it right away.
The bones of the apartment are gorgeous, but then you also often have onerous rules within the building that you have to have the work done in the summer months or for 4 months. And when you have a gut renovation, there's no way you can do that in 4 months. So are you going to lose being able to go into your new home for a year or so just because of the limitation to how much you can renovate during the year? It's a conundrum, and I think we all have to try to help co-op boards understand they have to stay viable in the community for them to maintain their value. They're just going to continue to go down compared to the condo market. But it's very interesting. Any other comments?
Well, a lot of what we're discussing is tied into other things that are factoring, like supply of appliances, supply of cabinetry, supply of furniture. That's not as easy to get today because of what has gone on in the world, and much of it is sitting in the ocean.
Exactly.
So, so if you do want to renovate, I think you have to believe that you're getting the right deal, because it's going to be at least 1 year to 2 years. And the Department of Buildings is backed up. the amount of people that used to work down in the department buildings are no longer there. They're physically not there. Everything is virtual. So it's a tougher process today.
And the cost
cost.
and the cost to renovate, that's gone up too. So you have to think about the cost and you have to think about the time, because both of those, have increased. Cost has increased and it's going to take longer. And then you're right, the product, and it's, everything's sitting in the ocean on a ship somewhere, it's a good point.
But the good news is that money's cheap. Money is still cheap. So
you
that's
get
another
value. You
factor
can
in
get
this. Yeah.
you can get a great property that will, appreciate. So could be a great investment long-term.
The co-ops are going to have to ease up.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they're going to have to make a lot of changes to be competitive going forward. And I'm sure they will. They're not going anywhere because co-ops are still the most beautiful products, I believe. So we'll see.
As great leaders in this industry, let's form something to get the co-op boards understanding they are not helping their value. So let's see, we'll work through REBNY and see if we can get them to listen to us, because they really need to hear the real story.
That's a great idea.
I think it's a great idea. We should.
Yeah, absolutely. And before we leave luxury, how do you think just the word luxury has changed in the last couple of years? It used to be the price or the building, as we said, a fabulous co-op building on Fifth Avenue, or the exclusivity of a building, even it being tough to get in it made it luxury. But that's not today. What do you think luxury is today? Do you want to start us out, ITZY?
Sure. I think luxury, to me, I think of service, and I think of that in every element of life, not just with real estate. You go to a hotel and the service you get there, or if it's a hotel you've been to before, they know what you like and they have something in your room. I think it's all about service, the service that someone receives, or in a doorman building, having the doorman, they know you personally, they know your name. There's a lot of, I tie it to service in every aspect of the word. I also think people look for luxury. Luxury to them today too is design and quality of the product. People are very, what are the floors, what are the finishes, the quality, the design, all of that has elevated, and people want more luxurious, higher end product. And I think that's sort of where I think a lot has shifted there. I don't know what Reba and Barbara think, and also how it makes you feel, the experience of, you walk into a building and it feels luxurious, like talking about the co-ops and, needing renovation. People want to walk into something that's new and beautiful and feels luxurious. And they want the service too. And they want it in their building. They want the service there.
Yeah, a friend of mine lives at 15 Central Park West, and she, that building, as everyone knows, is the height of service and luxury and everything else, every other amenity. And she described it, it was a very cute description of it. She said it's assisted living in the most upscale fashion. And it's true. I mean, they do everything for it. And a lot of buildings, and a lot, particularly of the new condo buildings, are providing those kind of services now, which is appealing, which is the new luxury.
And what about privacy? I feel like, because even the townhouse market has come back and alive. And I think a lot of that has to do with the privacy, maybe not having to go through a building with the concerns for COVID. But privacy and even outdoor space where you can get, is that playing into the luxury factor as well?
I mean, I think luxury is lifestyle, and it depends on what you want from your lifestyle, right? So, a townhouse is going to be luxurious to those that want that lifestyle and don't need the doorman, or, prefer to have their own backyard than to share a rooftop with other people. So I think, luxury means different things to different people. And,
say.
Can you say Madison Avenue or Fifth Avenue are luxurious locations? Yes. So what would make Third Avenue or Second Avenue luxurious, right? Well, then you got to go tall, and you got to go tall with big views, and then that's what's luxury. So I think like each area has its own design of what luxury means, and I think it really is a personal answer.
And ITZY, I want to turn to you, stepping away from luxury a second in conversation. You cover probably, even though everyone on this knows Brooklyn as well as Manhattan, but you're actually sitting in Brooklyn, working in
Park Slope right now.
Yes, okay, a great part of Brooklyn. Do you think all of the markets, including in Brooklyn, will remain strong? Are there any markets or price points in Brooklyn or Manhattan, for that matter, that you think need to be watched?
No, I think Brooklyn will remain strong. I think Brooklyn's been strong throughout. When Manhattan was really suffering last year, Brooklyn was still doing much better. And I think Brooklyn and the uniqueness of Brooklyn is it's got a housing stock that Manhattan doesn't, the townhouses. We have so many more townhouses here than in Manhattan. You have to pay, $20 million for a townhouse. In Brooklyn, it's these stunning tree-lined streets. You can buy a gorgeous one in Bed-Stuy, Park Slope. They're everywhere. And I think that, the pandemic has really turned to, we talked a lot about condos, but we haven't talked about the townhouse market, has turned to the townhouse market, and people want privacy. You mentioned privacy. They want privacy. They want outdoor space. They don't want to get into an elevator with someone. They want more space. And I think that the townhouse market is going to continue to be strong. I think Brooklyn is going to be strong at all price points. And I think the townhouse market is also, we're seeing multiple bids. Last night I was on with an agent. He had 8 offers on something just put on the market. This morning, I talked to another agent. They had 2 offers above asking on something. So I think our market here is going to remain strong throughout. And I think that the townhouse market is the hottest market too for us here. It is very, very, very strong. And it's beautiful. It's a different, you can afford a townhouse in Brooklyn. Not everyone can really, not everyone can afford a town, but it's more affordable in Brooklyn than it is in Manhattan to own a townhome. That's
housing stock is stunning. It really
and the housing stock is stunning, so it is, it's different.
Yes.
So I feel really positive about it, and I'm very go pro Brooklyn. Got my Brooklyn people on today. Go Brooklyn.
We're going to step away from talking about the market a little bit and go to culture. As it's critical for us to have culture within our companies and teams, whatever it is you're running. And many of our agents are really not ready to come back to the office. They're doing business, but they've learned to work from home. And culture and collaboration, in my mind, is so essential. You can get away with it. The Zooms work, but there's nothing like just turning to the person next to you and say, what do you think? Is there anything you're doing to rebuild the culture and the collaboration and making your office or your team happy and willing to come back to the office? And if that's where you think we should be heading.
I would love to see everyone back in the office. I want everyone to be safe, number one. That's the most important. I want everyone to be safe. But some of the things that I've done here is outdoors, where people feel safe being together outside. So we've, one of the agents in Brooklyn, Michael Petrosino, asked me for coffee one day, and he said we should get agents together and do coffee. So we did a coffee talk, and we brought a marketing person in, and we sat outside at a beautiful spot here in Brooklyn. Everyone felt safe because we were outdoors, and we had a nice meeting, and there was collaboration, and there was, we were thinking of different ideas, and it was just a nice thing to see. And I do think it's important to get back into the office, not for everyone. Some people will never you know, they don't need to set foot into an office and they're fine. They come in and they do what they do. But I love that energy when you walk into an office and it's buzzing and people are making, you know, they're on the phone doing deals, or they're talking about, did you just see this? And I just sold this and I'm putting this on the market next week. And I think business happens that way. And I also think that it could be a very isolating business. So to be in, you know, with other people and talking about the market, I think it's crucial to get everyone back in when it's the right time and people feel safe. You know, that's the caveat, but I do think it's important. And then I do weekly lunch and learns, which is all via Zoom, and try to do different things, and happy hours outside. Now we're heading into the winter, so it's a little bit, you know, colder months, we'll see. But I think getting people together is important, and I'd like to see everyone back in the office. I hope that we do get to that place, because I do think it's a crucial part of the business, and I think business happens that way. Deals get made.
I agree.
I learned the business a lot of years ago, sitting next to Elizabeth Stribling, who was an experienced broker at the time. And I literally absorbed through osmosis a lot of her knowledge and her negotiating skills. And that's how I learned the business. I think it is the only way to really become successful is to interact with the people in your office and the other people who know more than you do. And being in the office, you can pick up more leads. You can pick up certainly good ideas, marketing ideas, whatever it is. I think it's essential. It's essential to success. We've made our office very safe. We have all kinds of machines to clean the air, and we have a lot of windows that we keep open. And I am inviting my brokers to come back. I think it's a mistake not to work in the office.
I'm going to chime in here because I'm out in the trenches, so I'm in a little different position than the two of you.
Yes.
I would say, you know, these were steps that we all needed to take, right? Everybody needs to take their own steps. My steps were to get back to business. Business doesn't necessarily happen at my desk. Business happens when I'm in the street and I'm walking and I'm talking to doormen and I'm seeing people, and I'm in my car and I'm driving around New York, and I can get a feel, right? This is a business where you got to have intuition, you got to have gut, you have to have, you know, a connection to the city. So when I'm in my office, I feel much more disconnected to the business than when I'm out in the street making hay, you know, so to speak. So I think those were my first steps, and I feel like I'm still there. It doesn't mean I don't come to the office, but you know, I did 41 transactions this year. You cannot do 41 transactions sitting at your desk. You cannot. So the camaraderie, which I think, you know, ITZY, what you mentioned, I think that's always important, not just within your office, but within our industry. And you know, I just ran an open house, a broker open house tour, and there were a lot of brokers that were hesitant to join the tour because either their building wasn't permitting it or they didn't want to participate. But those that did, it was our first open house in, you know, 2 years. Everyone was so thrilled to get back to some routine. So right. I do believe that routine and camaraderie is important. But I also feel like you need to be in touch with the city, because the city has changed, and you need to know where are those changes, and you know, what can you do as a broker to make transactions happen today, whatever they are. I mean, you have to be a deal junkie. I'm a deal junkie, right? I mean, if I don't do a deal, something's wrong. So I love doing the deals, but I can't do them all the time at my desk. So that's my answer.
I was going to say, and your camaraderie and collaboration is, to me, is essential, but not everyone does the amazing amount of business. And I mean, you're an absolute machine and so brilliant, but lots of agents aren't. And I think what they're doing is they're not connecting because they don't have the business. They're not connecting with the office. And I think a lot of them are just kind of dying on the vine. And I think that wouldn't happen if they just got a good jolt of energy by coming to the office and hearing what's going on and realizing, I think there's agents that think no business is going on.
Yeah,
And
that's crazy.
it's amazing the amount of business. business.
I was just going to say that I do agree with Reba too. You know, I don't think that someone should just come in and sit in an office all day long. I mean, you have to be out meeting people. You have to grow your sphere of influence. You have to go see product, know what's on the market. So you need to be a mover too. But I think that energy, everyone here, and you were talking about the business and you're amongst people transacting and hearing people, you know, I just did this deal and I put this deal together and I just walked this new building or I'm listing this. I think business happens that way too. And I think people feed off of good energy and off of each other and learn from each other. And even when we just did this coffee talk, people were so happy to just be amongst a group of their colleagues talking about business, which when you're not in an office, you're not amongst a group of your colleagues talking about business. So like doing the open house, that's great because there you are, you're with people and you're talking business. So so I agree with you, Reba, but I love to see, I come in every day and some days, you know, and people are in and out. And that's what people are doing now is they're in and out. They're coming in to do what they need to do and they're out. So it's like, yeah.
That's great.
Mm.
Let's turn a little bit, and I don't want to get political, but what do you all feel is that the politicians, especially our new mayor and Governor Hochschild, what should they focus on in the next few years? Because we have had some challenges, and I think we can't just say things aren't working the way it used to. I think there has to be focus in areas and prioritization of it. Where would you say you'd want to see the city focusing on the most to get us back to the New York we remember in other administrations?
I think you need to have a sense that that the city is safe.
Yeah, that's number one.
Givenchy just got a burglary occurred the other day on Madison Avenue, $80,000 or whatever merchandise was stolen from Givenchy. You know, there's more of that. So the crime and the idea of feeling safe and the homelessness that is prevalent throughout, this needs to change. You know, we were a much cleaner, safer city with a market that was pretty strong and pretty active. So considering we're still a very active market, strong market with this occurring, we could only imagine what we could do if things started to get better, right? More retail stores need to, you know, hopefully landlords are a little bit more lenient, but that there are shops that want to come back because there are consumers out in the street. So, you know, consumers need to come back and start shopping. I was at Bloomingdale's yesterday. And, you know, I did a little shopping and I left, but it's not back. We're not back to that point yet. So I think all those little steps need to occur. People need to get back into spending money. I think we're have a little bit of a slowdown due to the holiday. And hopefully people won't think that that's a slowdown to the market. It's just an annual slowdown because it's holiday. And so safety, I would say, is a key.
I agree.
Now, I was just going to say, we know that this city can be well run. We've had a very good mayor who cleaned up the city, who got rid of a lot of the things that Reba was just discussing. We know it can happen. It needs to happen again. And as far as the governor is concerned, I hope what she doesn't focus on is the pied-à-terre tax. And the other thing I hope she does focus in on is signing some of the bills that have passed the legislature that Governor Cuomo never signed, but she is in line to sign them now. So I think once those things sort of happen, and I think it will happen at the governor level, and certainly hope it will happen with our new mayor, we'll be in good shape.
I agree with both of you, and my number one would be safety. You know, I think everybody wants to feel safe where they live. You don't want to, you know, I was coming home late one night and I never, 20 years, I've never thought about it. In my head, I was thinking about, okay, how am I, you know, do I want to take the subway? Do I want to get a car? You know, you want to feel safe to walk the streets at night, coming home at any hour. I think safety is number one. I think infrastructure is a big one. And that's something we really have to look into, and also education. I have a young son in a New York City public school, and I think education is also very important. And people want to live here and be able to put their kids in a school and know they're going to get a good education. So I would say safety, infrastructure, education for me.
And as Barbara said, we have done it before, and we need to get back and do it as quickly as possible. Get us back to the New York City that was truly the capital of the world and the place you absolutely wanted to be.
You know, one of the things though that is amazing, like if you drive around on Park, you know, the fact that they knocked down these office buildings to build a beautiful office building. Okay, so they had that vision. Those landlords, you know, the owners have a vision that corporations are going to come, you know, leasing is going to pick up. So the question is, when is that happening? You know, we have some beautiful buildings around us now, you know, commercial office is important to our city. So that's another sector of discussion that's maybe not for us, but I'd love to hear from the commercial
Too.
And the little I know is the commercial that's doing well is the quality, the new ones. So it's going to be the older buildings they have to think about, because they are aged out and just not fitting what corporations need now. And maybe they'll go to new residential properties that are maybe more priced for the more average buyer, that mid-market buyer. But I know I see Anthony maybe joined us, and maybe we have some questions we promised to answer. Should I turn it over to you, Anthony?
Yes, great. Thank you, Diane. Thank you, Reba, Barbara, ITZY. Thank you so much. You guys did a great job. I'll also try to send you out the videos of the commercial guys yesterday. They did very well. Bob had a lot to say about the commercial, and what Diane just said is so true. The new ones are doing great. Some of the old ones, you know, what Diane was saying, she's right on it. We do have some Q&A, guys. Before I get into Q&A, everybody here will have all your emails. They'll send out a thank you note. So if you want to continue asking them questions thereafter, you can. And so let's get into the Q&A. Let's start off with Sean. Hi, ladies. Very nice to virtually meet you all. Thank you for all your hard work. New York is strong and here to stay. Thank you, Sean. Sean again, does New York have enough inventory on the market to satisfy the mid-level buyers, 750 to 1.5 million range? Any of you guys can answer that.
I think we had a lot of inventory. We know that, and we've reduced our inventory. But I do think a new inventory is going to be difficult because land prices have gone up, construction prices have gone up, and to develop something now and put a new product, you're not going to, it's going to be 4 or 5 years out. So I think, you know, that's a tough one. You know, I think that which will again make our market, you know, see bidding wars, because I think the inventory could be an issue. I do think, I mean, we do have a lot still to go through, so maybe we'll be fine, but I don't think we're going to have a ton of new inventory as new development.
I think this inventory, that price point is really more co-ops than condos, kind of exactly what you're saying. So I think the question is, do you have enough co-op inventory, and will that get absorbed? And what does it take to absorb, you know, the 200 units? I did a search yesterday for someone between 500 and 700. On the east side, there were 200 units that potentially could be for this buyer, and that was in doorman building. So, will there be 200 buyers in the next year to absorb $600,000 to $700,000? That's a lot of people. So, but you're talking about $1.5 million. Now you want something that's a 2-bedroom, and you don't want to face a brick wall. So can that $1.5 million buy you a view? And there's not a lot out there. So, you know, you have to push the price point. So it's a good question. We don't know the answer.
Quality.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, thank you. Corinne Pulitzer, as co-ops are still the predominance of the property class, how do you see them faring going forward, particularly those that need renovation?
Oh, yeah, we talked about that.
I think we answered that.
Yeah, we went through that.
We sort of we answered that earlier.
Okay, great. Thank you. Corinne again. Many buyers who are new to NYC are raising the quality of life issues. And these factors are, as they were in the 80s, will continue to impact sales until leadership implements change, homeless, escalating crime, etc.
Yeah, we talked about that
Yeah.
too.
Corinne,
We covered that.
Corinne, are
Look
you
at
on our
that.
panel?
we didn't
There you
even
go.
do the questions. Yeah.
Right? And
I
then,
think there were early questions. Yeah.
great. Okay, great. Corinne has another one. Comment. I sit on the board of co-op, struggle too. Even if they ease up on financing, they still need qualified buyers who won't default, especially for those buyers who have been gifted or have jobs that depend on bonus and not a lot of work history. For your information, I remedy like holding and maintenance and escrow and has still not been signed off in Albany.
Right.
Did you guys
Correct.
touched?
That's correct.
That's
Right.
correct.
And
Okay.
co-ops still ask, even though it's
Exactly. Right.
like the
Oh.
landlord who takes a year up front. They're not supposed to, but there are landlords that do.
Yeah.
We
Okay,
haven't really
guys.
talked about the rental market, by the way, and that was a significant part of our year. It
Yes.
went from nobody was renting to 100% occupancy. So that the rental market this past year, that's a different question. What will that be going forward? And I think, you know, it's a pretty strong rental market, which will help the condo market.
Agreed. I think, and we went from, I think the worst rental market since I've been in the business, 20 years that I've ever seen, to all of a sudden, again, multiple applications. I mean, it's like one extreme to the other, and still today it's still happening. And we're still, and even at the high, we had this, it was a $12,000 rental. They had multiple applications. I mean, at all price points too. So,
You know, and the reason that it was able to survive this past year is because the incentives were tremendous, right? 4 months free.
yeah,
Landlord was paying the fee. And the same thing with new construction, new developments, you know, developers were giving concessions. They were much more willing to make deals. So the question is, I think the question could be, you know, will you still have that kind of market where you have to give incentives? And if so, what might those incentives be, you know? So you take a listing and you think, okay, I can get this rented. All of a sudden, a month goes by and you're not renting it. And the second month goes by, you're not renting it. Now you're going to your landlord and saying, hey, I think we need to give incentives. So, you know, I don't think we're not clear from that yet. I think incentives are still part of our market.
Guys, we have 5 more minutes. Do you guys want to say one last final prediction or thoughts or closing comments?
That would be great. I'd love each of you to even make a suggestion of for the next 12 months, some pearl of wisdom from the smartest ladies I know.
okay, well, I'll start. I don't know if it's a pearl of wisdom. I could say a few things maybe. I'd love to see everyone get back to the office once they feel safe. That would be one. Connect with people. You know, I think that would be my, I don't know if it's pearls of wisdom, but really connect with people. Maybe make it a goal to have lunch with someone once a week. Now, every week next year, meet up with someone new for lunch, a colleague, a friend, a client, and really connect with people, because, you know, we sit here and we smile and we talk about what a great year it's been, but, you know, people have really suffered, and we've been in a really tough, traumatic, we've gone through something very difficult, and you don't know what someone's really feeling. So connect with someone, have a lunch, and it'll be good for you, it'll be good for them, and it'll help your business. So, you know, maybe make a goal. I'm going to set up a lunch with a different person, you know, next year, 52 lunches, and connect with colleagues, friends, clients, and just connect with people. That's it. In a safe way. Everybody's safety first. Keep you safe.
So good.
I would say, you know, you have to be authentic to who you are and what interests you. You know, if you're not interested to sell the East Village, it doesn't feel right, then don't concentrate on that. You know, concentrate and connect with things that feel good, number one. And, you know, watch the market. You have to have an opinion. You have to have knowledge. You have to be able to, and everybody wants to ask the expert, what do you think of the market? You have to have an answer. So you have to have your own knowledge and be able to, you know, walk the talk.
Diane had mentioned a minute ago that a lot of the agents out there don't think the market is that great right now, but I've got to tell you, you're wrong. The market right now is terrific. I don't look at the past, and I really don't personally focus that much into the future. I live for today. We are in a good market, and you make hay while the sun shines.
And I would say
and you
learn how to do
take
really good
each
FaceTime
day
showings.
and deal with what we're with what we're given in this business.
That's
Those
good.
are not
And if the
easy.
market slows down, then you
That's
deal
true.
with that.
That's
But
true.
you
I'd
have
like
to
to end
live
it
for
up if I
today,
have
and
time.
when you
First of
have a
all,
good
Anthony, I
market,
want to
you
thank
really
you
need to
for
seize the
putting
moment.
together New York City Real Estate Expo. It's so exciting. The cast of characters that you have put together is just inspiring. I've so enjoyed, and I'm going to continue to enjoy it. And to a special thanks to my three ladies that I consider dear friends, but the brightest and the really outstanding ladies and leaders, and the fact that they shared their valuable time with all of us today. I got so much out of it. So thank you, ladies, and thank you for being my friend.
Thank you. Thank you for
Thank
having me.
you.
Thank you, Diane.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Diane.
Anthony.
Thank you.
Thank
Yes, you know,
Anthony.
guys, we got one more question that just came in. Diane, really, thank you. You know, it's an honor. And doing what we do, of course, we do a live trade show. And of course, we got hurt in 2020 like everybody else. In 2021, I sat back and just wanted just to view it, because once I saw ICSC get canceled in Las Vegas, that was an indicator for me to just to sit back and see what's going to happen to New York. We are definitely looking to come back live, of course, and we're also looking to do more shows elsewhere. You know, Diane also knows that I'm getting ready to put some type of national show together in Tennessee as well. So can't wait to get back into the arena of live shows. Someone mentioned about, can I send out the commercial webinar videos? Yes. Everybody who signed up is going to get every video that we have. And we also have a website that I will send out to everybody, where you can go to our agenda page and our live page, and you can see all the videos from April and November. Of course, we will continue to always do virtual events, because there's a lot of nervous Nellies out there that are always going to want to get onto virtual events. I think you're going to need both. You're going to need live shows and you're going to need virtual shows. And so we're going to stay with the virtual business as well. And we can't wait to have a lot of you guys back again. There's one more question here, guys. Let's see who this is from. Michelle Miller. Great panel and such a wonderful group of mentors. On the subject of luxury, what are luxury touches you can provide to existing clients and people in your existing network? From Michelle Miller.
That's
Anybody?
Wait, what did my niece ask?
Oh, that's your niece? She says you're great and you're a mentor. And on the subject of luxury, what are the luxury touches you can provide to existing clients and the people in your existing network?
Huh.
You want to answer that, Reba, or we could
Not
give to
sure I
Barbara?
understand the
would
question.
say a driver.
That's nice.
A driver.
Yes.
I'm with
Okay.
you on the driver.
I'm signing out. I'm signing out.
Okay. Thank you, Diane.
Thank
Guys,
you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Have a great
Everybody take care.
Thank
See
you.
soon.
Thank
Bye-bye,
you
guys.
so much.
bye.
Bye-bye.